Hi, today I'm going to make this video in English because my wife told me I made a video about me remembering my mother, especially her paintings. So she wants to know what I am talking about. And for me to write a whole script of subtitles is too tedious for me. And I know that some of you may ask, oh, can AI work? Well, Cantonese and AI and is a little bit tricky. And the time that I need to edit whatever AI translated is even takes more time than for me to make a new video. So this is what I am going to talk about. Well, many of you know my mother passed away last winter, right after Christmas. So I made a few videos about her, especially during last few weeks during the Mother's Day. It was my first Mother's Day without a mother. So I made a video on that. And today I especially want to remember her. Now, she was born in early 20th century and before the Second World War into a very traditional Chinese family. At the time, if you know the history, Chinese family is very focused on male, and they don't care much about their daughters' education and all that. So my mother was, well, in that category. I'm not criticizing my grandparents because everybody at that time in mainland China was like that. Women had no rights whatsoever, and many could not go to school. At least my mother was fortunate. She could finish high school, and so she can read, she can write, and among her peers, she was very fortunate. And because she finished her high school, she was at that time supposed to be, among her peers, educated. Many women at the time, in the 1950s, 1960s, they couldn't read, couldn't write. And at the time, she and her family they were refugees going to Hong Kong. So my mother also, because of the culture, was married in a very young age. So she had she couldn't go to university, but because she could read and write, and at that time she can get a evening job in teaching those young women coming from mainland China who could not read and write. And that was the case. And those who could read and write, will be hired to teach those who couldn't. And during that time, my mother went to took evening courses, evening school, and all that to get her teacher training. And she did. She finished her teacher training, and later on, she became a primary school teacher, and that's for the rest of her career until she retired. And so, one thing about her, she's a lifelong learner. She could learn everything that that she could ever lay her hand on. So she learned tailoring. So when I remember when I was a little kid, I became her model, and she would make shirts for me. Not all. I still have to buy and most of my shirts, but she made some of the shirts, and she even know how to make suits. Men's suits. She makes some suits for me too, and along she made all the dresses for herself. So, and also she learned painting. She's quite an artist. She learned painting, and no matter it's Western painting, oil painting, water painting, and finally, she learned Chinese painting from a very famous Chinese painter, Jiu Jingong. And that, her teacher, after he passed away, my mom and other students of his put some of his painting to the Hong Kong Cultural Museum in Sha Tin. So if you ever visit Hong Kong and go to the Hong Kong Cultural Museum, you will see the work. There's one section dedicated for the work of my mom's teacher. And yes, she always felt that her painting is really no good. And well, as I mentioned, and of course, if she compares her painting with the masters like her teacher, the founder of a particular school style of Chinese painting, of course that is that's not that good. But in my own opinion, her painting is just gorgeous and artistic and really, really good. So I had lots of her painting hanging on, well, in my home, and I still have plenty. I just don't have enough wall space to hang all her paintings. So, and yes, even after she was 80 years old, she still tried to learn erhu, a Chinese musical instrument. So, she was definitely a lifelong learner. And that's also why, and she encouraged us, you can say, or forced us to study hard when I was a kid. And there are many things I have to say I inherited from my mother, but the artistic style or painting and all that is not one of the skills that I inherited from her. So, well, I show some of the paintings during this video, and you can feel free to comment and about her painting. And I may do some more video in English later on. So, talk to you later.